So right now I've got the '04 just kind of mounted in front of the '03 because I've got the '03 mounted on this car in a way that I like it. I've got a gimbal on it and everything, so I'm not just going to replace the '03 on it, but just tack the '04 on and test it right. So it's full power right now. I've got everything unlocked and just doing a little test around this building. So the first thing you can see, which is cool, is these new goggles they're adopting, I guess, the goggles 2 type of deal where I don't need to like merge in a subtitle file. I can actually just show you the OSD and the bitrate in the goggles video. The other thing is the clarity is a lot better. I mean, you do get a whole lot more detail. The resolution is better. It's just the FOV is decreased. So I really like the FOV of the goggles too much better, but you can actually see the signal holds up pretty well, right? This is just a little quick test around the building. I'm standing inside with the goggles, all stock antennas, and I mean, in my opinion, that held up pretty good, right? So not too bad. Here's some footage of the '03, and I've got that on a gimbal, and just a little rear view camera here. But you can see immediately the FOV. Clearly, you could see more left to right. Um, the actual resolution, it's kind of hard to tell till you see the difference yourself because, when I'm looking at the goggles on the '03 with the V2s, I mean, it looks real good to me, right? So I have to actually see a higher resolution to really be like, oh, yeah, 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 that's actually a little bit better. It's not, so much of a difference where I just can't look at the '03 no more, but it is a difference, right? But at the end of the day, I still kind of prefer the setup that I get off the '03. It's just more comfortable. But of course, a big part of that is, I've got the gimbal and I can look left and right on this setup. So, I mean, that's a big part of it. But again, going back and forth, there's clearly big differences. So it kind of bothers me a little bit. I don't know why they got to keep changing it around. I guess they're trying to give people more options and alternatives and whatnot. But I don't know why they can't just, I don't know, just stick with something, right? Uh, Maybe just keep a wide field of view and maybe create some, I don't know, software way to change that up if somebody wants it more narrow. But otherwise, again, '03 is still a super solid unit, but and able to really to be able to really drive around like I want to with it, I gotta upgrade all the antennas. And here goes a walk snail rig. So here's the one of the newest walk snails is the GT highest power deal. I've actually got that on a Cadix gimbal. I think that's a GM3. So it's just another example of how you can get a pretty good setup out the box. The GM3, I haven't done anything with it. This is just all factory. So I'm not using really any of the channels except yaw left and right like this. But the cool thing about it is I can set up my switches to actually be able to do this. Look behind me like that, right? Just set the EPA on it, so I just have a toggle to increase the actual look radius or the look angles, let's just say, right? So that's real handy because I can go like this and just instantly look behind me and drive in reverse like this without having to rely on any kind of mirrors or anything like that, even though I still got it. All right, so now I've got the goggles out in a different location. I'm just going to drive around another little building, but I also want to test to see what happens when you lose signal. So first you can see I've just got full power right here, just like that first little run. And I think I'm just going to drive around a little bit and probably just go around this building to see how it holds up. So, as far as I'll say my initial impressions, just driving around little places that I'm kind of familiar with the with everything '04 using just all stock antennas, it's either at the very least just as good or better than using the '03 with upgraded antennas, right? So, take that how you want to take it. I've got a 60 megabit rate on the '04 here. It's going to be 50 on the '03. I don't know if that extra bandwidth makes a huge difference or not, but whatever it is, the signal holds up pretty good. So you can see right about now, this is the point where I'd be dropping on either system, but I'd say the amount the bit rate's dropping right here is not as much as I would have thought, right? So I mean, at this point, I still have complete confidence that I can just easily go around this building and I'm not going to lose signal. I can also do that with the O3. It's just I feel like it definitely would have dropped closer to about 10 out here, right? So still kind of dipping a little bit, and I guess at a certain point it's gonna just pick back up right here. So yeah, no problem. Easily could span around this whole entire building. Real no concern about where I'm pointing my head, pointing the patches, where exactly I'm parked. So I mean, honestly, that's a good deal in my opinion. When I first came out to this parking lot, I think I was testing out different antennas. I was really using, the signal around here as a metric of how I was doing. So, I mean, I was noticing pretty big changes between different antennas, and actually losing the signal or getting to a point where the video got a little crappy. I mean, that was always a concern. So right now I'm actually going behind me around the building. So I should be losing signal a little bit quicker, and it's starting to drop out here. I'm just still facing in the opposite direction, kind of hug close to this buildings here to see if I can drop it down. So 8, 9, just hugging on around the 10 region. You can actually see the video quality is not really suffering either. So that's about as low as I could bring it down, all stock, with this reasonable amount of obstruction facing the opposite direction. Right. So once again, pretty good. I'd say the only thing I don't like is the field of view. I mean, you got to get used to it if you're used to the O3. So as I'm going back and forth between them, it might be a little rough. So right here, I'm about to change to 25 milliwatts and just kind of show. Which, by the way, my first test was at the lowest power, and I was actually really surprised how far I was able to go. So really, the first little obstructions don't really cause problems. I think, let's see, going here behind this little brick wall drops, just a little bit. So I'm gonna have to go further out. So I basically have to reach this ground obstruction, this area of ground obstruction where I don't have clear line of sight anymore. Then you can see the signal actually really starts to drop. So I'm going to try to come around this corner and go behind this brick wall further out, see if I can actually get it to lose video, because it's important to see how it handles that. Now you can see it's really dipping, and I really got to get down to like below 5 megabits for that video to really start getting bad. And the whole time, I really didn't notice a whole lot of really bad latency loss and whatnot. So I think I'm kind of turning my head here to move the patches. So here goes one little spot I found where I'm turning my head left and right, so you can see when that dips up to down to 1 and back up to about 5 or 6. I'm just moving the patches. And then right here I found a spot. So I found a spot right here where I lost video. I didn't notice it at the time, but I had just nudged the car over like an inch. The video instantly came back, but it had stopped recording, and I didn't notice, right? There's another video with a walk snail setup, but as far as what that looks like, it's pretty similar. But again, I can do this on walk snail, for example. Just look at it through a screen like this, and actually have the live audio, as you can hear, right? So again, I mean, DJI is not letting you do that. So here goes another walk snail setup that I've got on this other car, right? This is the one I put the gel blaster on. So I don't know if you can see, I've got a lining the laser up right now to hit that little pole right there. So yeah, I don't have the audio, but you can see I'm blasting these little gel balls at it right now. And it just so happens that I like the walk snail for that setup, because I like being able to do this while looking on a screen. And once again, it's generally the same as everything else, same type of concept. But there goes the upside with this one. And I'm out pretty far, signal's pretty good. The video quality looks really good to me on the screen I'm looking at it at. But at the end of the day, I guess, when it comes to DJI, I can probably get just a little bit better range with I have when I have the right antennas on the O3, and I'd say maybe the O4 automatically is going to give me a little bit better range than something like this, the walk snail GT system, right? At least on the ground through obstructions. I'm not sure why that would be, because DJI is putting out less power. It could just be the processing. I have no idea, right? But that's just from my experience. Otherwise, I wouldn't be using anything but the walk snail, right? You can see I still use it. It's just that if I was to have to pick one, like what's absolutely going to get me the farthest on the ground with these RC cars and whatnot, yeah, I'm probably going with the DJI. At this point, it's either going to be the O3 or the O4, but it still might be the O3 since I got my choice of antennas, right? If I figure an easy peasy way to change the O4 antennas, get even more range there, well, I'm probably going with the O4 at that point, right? So it's just that simple. I don't really think one is better than any of the others. They've all got their ups and downs, but that's just pretty much how I see it, right? Some of them have advantages and disadvantages.